Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're running a bit late, so we're going to get started. A warm welcome to all of you, our distinguished guests, our esteemed speakers, valued participants. Thank you for coming through and joining us. We are here on this day at a very important event, the inaugural Africa Business Credit Risk and Reporting Conference. The importance of the theme, which we will be exploring over the next 5 days. Data governance, frameworks for effective credit and risk management cannot be overstated, particularly in an era where data drives decision-making and shapes strategies. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you as your program director at this very momentous event. My name is Talita Wikuzo, and I'm the managing director of an advisory firm called Alone Advisory. We offer internal audit, governance, risk and compliance, and management consulting services. I have spent over 20 years, actually more than 20 years, as I said, assisting organizations across various industries to define strategies, align their processes and people to their strategies to ensure operational-wide success. I bring to this platform my experience from a recent engagement we had with SACRA, where we assisted them with development of their strategy and aligned their organizational architecture to their strategy to make sure that they are able to implement their strategy. This by no means makes me an expert in this field. I think it's very, very important that I declare this upfront. Very, very important. I spent most of my professional life working for one of the largest international audit firms, one of the big four as we call them. As a result, most people I have interacted with and people that I have in my professional and social life are chartered accountants, CAs as we call them. You have no idea how often I've been introduced as Talita, she's a CA, and I'm not. And just the other day, I was at an event and I had someone approach me and we're having a conversation, and they started asking me about the latest IFRS accounting standards. And I gave them the best blank stare in response. And what followed was a very awkward moment. So with that, ladies, I need to assure you that I am not an expert. We here have a number of speakers who are experts in this field, and we look forward to them sharing their insights with us. I think, given my experience with the CA story, I was just telling someone the other day that maybe what I should start doing is carrying a CA in training badge, or make sure that I probably have a note somewhere that says, I'm just here for the snacks and networking. All right. I need to assure you today and over the next 5 days, I'm not here just for the food and networking. In fact, I heard that attending this conference could improve your credit score. So I thought, let me just check with my credit bureau. And they told me my credit score was 400, and I thought, I think they may have misunderstood, because what I didn't ask for was a marathon time. So with that, ladies, I find myself here, and I'm hoping by day 5, my credit score would have improved. This conference is the culmination of tireless efforts by the dedicated organizers, the Credit Information Sharing Association of Kenya, CIS Kenya, and the South African Credit and Risk Reporting Association, SACRA, in collaboration with the National Credit Regulator, NCR. This conference would have also not been possible without the generous support of the sponsors. These are, starting with our platinum sponsors, Credit Info Group and TransUnion, the silver sponsor, Metropole Corporation Limited, the bronze sponsor, Consumer Profile Bureau. And lastly, we have our Day 5 sponsors, who are the State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, SECO, the National Credit Regulator, and the International Finance Corporation. We are truly grateful for your partnership. Please give the organizers, partners, and sponsors a loud round of applause. With that, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Charles Chemel, the chairman of the SACRA governing body, who will do an official welcome. And he will be followed by Mr. Jared Kadenga, the CEO of CIS Kenya, Lynette Tibia, acting CEO of the NCR, and Ms. Luz Maria Salamina, the lead financial sector specialist for the IFC. If I may just, you can come through, Mr. Chemel. I'll just give you a bit of background on who he is. Following being a senior executive at Standard Bank and African Bank for many years, he started CSC Advisory as principal in 2015 to provide strategic advisory services to players in the financial services sector. He was previously a board member of Stangen and King Price Life and a shareholder and director of Payabill, which is an SME finance fintech company, and was also a shareholder of Pitch Payments, Pan-African Payments fintech company. He started his career as a statistician and designer developer of computer-based testing systems at the National Institute of Personnel Research. During his employment at Standard Bank, this was a nice surprise, Charles, he headed up the human resources planning function of the group, moving into various roles as director, personal markets, director, banking products, and director, mass markets and retail Africa. Charles was seconded by Standard Bank to the Banking Association of South Africa to head the financial sector charter access initiatives, which included spearheading Mzansi, the National Interbank Initiative aimed at transactional access of financial services to low-income South Africans. At African Bank, he was responsible for underwriting, product management, credit cards, as well as strategy, distribution, marketing, and product. Charles serves on various boards and previously and currently. Please join me in giving him a warm round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. I just need to get myself back together, but thank goodness that I'm as young as I am, because that could have gone on forever. Good morning, everyone. I'm Charles Chemel, as you've heard, the chairperson of the South African Credit Risk and Risk Reporting Association, SACRA. SACRA is proud to have collaborated with CIS Kenya in conceptualizing and organizing this first African conference on data governance frameworks for effective credit and risk management. This is truly a conference of Africa, as we have over 100 delegates from more than 10 African countries. I would like to welcome all of you to this conference, and especially those from outside South Africa who are visiting us here. In particular, I would like to acknowledge governors of the various reserve banks from Africa, the Swiss Embassy, South Africa, represented by Daniel Lachenauer, the heads of various government departments, the International Finance Corporation, represented by Colin Masunda and Ms. Luz Maria Salamina, CEOs of various credit and financial service regulators, CEOs and representatives from various credit bureaus, banks and credit providers, heads of industry associations, private sector representatives, sponsors, speakers, and other delegates. From humble beginnings in 1989, SACRA has managed to sustain our existence by never losing sight of the original objective set out in 1989 by our founding members. Although our focus may have shifted somewhat 34 years on, the original objectives still very much form part of SACRA's mission today. These objectives were captured in the Consumer Credit Association's inaugural AGM minutes as follows: to promote standards in consumer credit, particularly in regard to information and credit rating, and to ensure that the value of consumer credit, both to the economy and to individuals, is fully appreciated. To facilitate the sharing of timeous, accurate, up-to-date, and relevant consumer credit information, to enable lenders and credit grantors to grant customers appropriate credit facilities. Over the years, our voluntary data contributing members have enriched this mission with their valuable data and specialized knowledge. In recognition of the role that industry through SACRA has played in ensuring sustainable data sharing infrastructure, policies and procedures, the National Credit Regulator has for a number of years entered into a memorandum of agreement with SACRA and our friends in the Credit Bureau Association to govern cooperatively credit and risk data sharing in South Africa. Who are we? We are a not-for-profit voluntary industry membership organization that plays a central role in South Africa's credit and risk data sharing ecosystem through the Memorandum of Agreement between SACRA, the National Credit Regulator, and Credit Bureau Association. SACRA is the pivotal entity in South Africa that manages the central system through which all consumer credit and risk information is submitted to the 6 authorized credit bureaus. On average, 58 million consumer records are submitted monthly through the SACRA managed data transmission hub to the credit bureaus, Consumer Profile Bureau, Experian, ITC, TransUnion, VeryCred, Credit Bureau, and XDS on the principle of reciprocity. For the past 35 years, we have ensured that South Africa has a sophisticated and accessible credit market by enabling banks, other credit providers, insurers, and other service providers to assess affordability and creditworthiness when granting credit worth 23 trillion rands, that's a number, huh? Or approving insurance policies, cell phone contracts, and subscription and other goods and services, and helping users manage their credit collections. Our SACRA members are not only credit providers. Other SACRA members include telcos, insurers, debt buyers, subscription service providers, loan system providers, and analytical companies. Fair and responsible credit and information sharing mainly occurs in the ambit of South Africa's National Credit Act and Protection of Personal Information Act. Our data-driven approach allows SACRA to lead the way in data quality and standardization for a more comprehensive understanding of shared data across all industry sectors, as well as its effective application for both members and non-members. By upholding the highest quality and standard of data submission, we enable legitimate access for lawful purposes, supporting our thriving credit and risk community of consumer lending. We actively engage with all parties involved in data submission, data transmission, and data applications. We also collaborate with key stakeholders such as government, regulators, and the media to ensure full compliance with legislation to optimize the benefits of data sharing. In short, SACRA proudly offers a robust framework that facilitates the sharing of comprehensive and accurate credit and risk data, enabling members to adhere to the National Credit Act's credit information sharing provisions and perform credit and risk assessments and affordability calculations with confidence. We enable, as I said earlier, a monthly submission of, call it 58 million high quality and standardized records, about 4 million daily records a month, a day via the Central Data Transmission Hub to credit bureaus, all according to legal requirements. Our vision is to champion a world-class data sharing and reporting ecosystem, while our mission is to impact positively on the data sharing industry through innovation, training, support, and responsible lending practices. We are playing an increasingly strong advocacy role to shape and influence policy and practice in data and data sharing in South Africa. The data ecosystem in South Africa is actually somewhat opaque. So we are increasingly educating consumers and others to understand the various facets of this ecosystem and each participant's role in it. The integrity and legitimacy of each part of the ecosystem should and must not be taken for granted and needs to be treasured by all participants, including end consumers. Data is the lifeline of our economy as much as electricity and water. Being membership-based, we are committed to deliver value to members by becoming the global industry benchmark for providing innovative systems, support, and tools that enable timeous, compliant, and quality data sharing reporting. In the world today, one can't stand still and be satisfied with one's achievements. While South Africa's consumer credit and data sharing environment is particularly strong, the same cannot be said for South Africa's commercial and business credit and data sharing environment. Currently, we have prioritized our next big initiative to transform South Africa's data ecosystem by expanding SACRA's role into business data sharing. As I pointed out, SACRA stands at the heart of South Africa's consumer information data sharing ecosystem, and we aim to become a catalyst in closing the current gap by facilitating the creation of a shared data pool of business credit and risk information. We are encouraged by the support of the IFC, National Credit Regulator, government departments, and our membership base in conceptualizing and implementing this critical project, but there's a long way to go before we can say with confidence that we will succeed. I just want to give you an idea of the scale and scope of credit in South Africa, just to give you a sense of some numbers. The total outstanding gross debtors book of consumer credit for the quarter ended March 2024 was 2.3 trillion rand. Mortgages accounted for 1.23 trillion, that's 52%. Secured credit for 500 plus billion rand, it's about 22%. Credit facilities for 333 billion rand. Unsecured credit, another 200 billion rand, and on and on. So you get a sense of the scale and scope of this market. The values are large, and all consumer credit in various facets are covered. Credit bureaus each hold records of, call it, 28 million credit active consumers. Consumers classified in good standing increased by 273,581 to 17.83 million consumers in that last quarter. The number of consumers with impaired records grew to 10.09 million, and the number of accounts held increased to 96 million accounts. So we've over the years developed a comprehensive and big market within the shared data space, and in our belief, by and large, the system works for consumers. Why this conference? This conference forms part of our efforts to advocate for, transform, and impact the data sharing ecosystem positively by bringing together regulators and industry players throughout the continent. It is our view that access to affordable credit and the sustainable growth of the credit market is severely constrained if credit and risk information is not shared widely amongst industry participants. Similar I say similar, I don't say the same, to the manner that it is currently being shared here in South Africa and some other countries. One cannot underestimate the positive role that credit can play in people's lives as well as in growing the economy. However, I believe we underestimate the positive role that the sharing of credit data can play in accelerating the positive role that credit plays by improving the availability of credit, the accessibility of credit, and the reduction in the cost of credit in our societies. In other words, we firmly believe that availability of credit is key, but to really get the essence of the value of credit availability, we believe that the sharing of credit information is absolutely central. It is central to enabling lenders to develop sophisticated scoring and risk management models to assist them to manage credit risk. The cost of collecting and compiling of data is also reduced, and the incidence of reckless lending as well as impairments is much higher if lenders do not have access to quality shared data. Regulators too benefit immensely from the shared data as they are able to monitor market borrowing conduct and consumer behavior trends. They are also able to monitor market stability and take preventative measures where necessary. South Africa, the rest of the African continent, just like the global credit market, is continually undergoing transformation and change. Having in place up-to-date, robust data governance frameworks is imperative for sustainable growth and financial inclusion, financial health and stability. However, there is no one singular recipe. One of the most important ways to improve is for each of us to share our experience and our narratives and to learn from each other, seeking to avoid mistakes made and to accelerate success by building on each other's positive learnings. We all know that accurate and timely data is the lifeblood of effective credit risk management. However, we all continue to grapple with data quality and availability issues, often due to outdated systems incapable of automating data extraction and submission. This technological gap is exacerbated by the difficulty in recruiting and retaining skilled personnel capable of navigating the rapidly changing technological and regulatory environment. This is a never-ending struggle because the world, damn it, does not stand still. Just when we think we are getting to a better place, the goalposts move like they are now as generative AI becomes the new normal. If only things would stand still. The World Bank has identified 5 foundational principles for building a robust credit reporting systems: data quality, data security, a sound legal and regulatory framework, effective governance and risk management, and cross-border data sharing capabilities. Amongst others, during this conference, we will discuss making progress towards achieving these with these principles by sharing what we have already learned and seeking innovative approaches that enable all credit providers, regardless of sector, to submit and share accurate data. I'm confident that the knowledge shared in this conference will lead to transformative outcomes in the continent to fuel increased financial inclusion and economic development. In closing, I would like to congratulate the teams in SACRA and CIS Kenya for putting together this groundbreaking conference. I would also like to express particular appreciation to the sponsors and speakers who have generously agreed to offer their expert knowledge and resources to ensure a successful conference. I hope the networking opportunity presented by this conference will lead to more impactful collaborations to improve and transform our collective data sharing ecosystems across Africa. Thank you very much.